Console online. HPG connection online. Educational module online. All systems nominal.
Hello, class, and welcome to On the Origin of BattleMechs podcast, episode 104, The Awesome Part B. I am your host, Brent Stewart. My co-hosts today are...
I'm Chandler.
And I'm Derek.
And we are going to continue on with the awesome, the 80-ton behemoth, the slab of armor and firepower that it is. And we are going to pick up right where we left off with the AWS-9Q, seen in 3057. This guy's got a movement profile of 3-5. It's got a small laser in the head, a Guardian ECM suite in the center torso, a PPC in the right torso, a PPC in the left torso, a PPC in the right arm, and a PPC in the left arm. It's got 19 double heat sinks, and yeah, so basically every slot is filled with a heatsink if it can be. Your only empty slots are in your legs.
Yay.
This is the one that's like, we got all these extra PPCs for when we did the refits to ER PPCs on everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have all these awesomes that everyone was like, dang, I don't want that old-fashioned thing. And then all of a sudden, all of the, backline quartermasters came together and it's like, we will make the ultimate PPC awesome.
Yeah.
Our awesome will be the awesomest of the awesomes.
I mean, it's synced relatively well. You just drop a PPC every turn or so, and you should be fine. And yeah, no, this strikes me as a good militia sort of pull.
The nice thing about it is you literally fire it like the normal awesome. You every third turn you drop a PPC to keep you under 4 heat, because you can do 2 turns of depends if you run. If you run, you drop one every other turn, which still gets you a net increase in firepower.
Yeah.
I forgot about running heat. Gosh dang legs, having to do stuff and make heat. I think they are.
You just forgot about it because you think that the awesome running is walking because it's so slow.
That too, yeah.
Pretty much, I mean...
But when you have 4 PPCs, you don't need to get to them.
No.
You have the man-made lightning to get to them for you.
And you don't want to run charging them because they're just PPCs. They're not ERs. They have a minimum range of 3.
Yes.
You would much rather just let them charge you while you,
PPC them to death.
turn them into a lightning rod.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really don't have a lot to say on it. It just sits in the PPC awesome. It does what it's supposed to do.
Yep.
It says it right on the tin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically. I mean, this thing basically does as advertised. It's nothing special.
It's just the old reliable, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you've... To give a plug to him, he was on the last episode, but I'm going to plug him anyway, again. To quote text on his Warhammer episode, it just does what it needs to do. It's nothing special. Like, I mean, that's the beauty of some of the things in BattleTech, is we're not looking at, like, oh, we need to build the most awesome...
I see what you did there.
Awesome.
The most advanced.
It's like, yeah, it's like, I just need an awesome that does exactly as it's designed to do, and nothing more, nothing less. Like,
And this one is also easy to produce, so, you can make lots of them.
yeah.
Yeah, the only fancy thing is double heat switch. Once you figure out the technology, isn't too bad.
Even then, by, like, especially the later eras, like, double heatsinks are basically like the standard, so... Especially once you get to Dark Age Ilclan, it's like... Pretty much everything. Yeah, pretty much everybody's packing that. Even then, by like end of Civil War, most frontline like house units are not using single heat sinks because it's dumb.
Like the only ones that really use single heat sinks are machines that are like super light and not energy based or what have you, or a model from someone like the Capellans or the Periphery who are working with what they got. Yeah. And I believe there's a Firebee, if I'm remembering correctly, the canon says that they used all the heat sinks from the models that did get the upgrade because they just had warehouses of them.
Yeah, it's like I have a ton of single heat sinks just sitting around, so what am I going to do with them? Well, I'm going to throw them on that thing. Like,
25 tons, 2 medium lasers. It doesn't need anything more than the 10 heat sinks it's got, right? So
yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, you're just using what's laying around, especially for some of these nations, even in, like, the Dark Age era, where it's like, I just need a mech. Like, I don't really care. Like, would not be surprised if people started breaking out, like, mech designs from, like, 600
Retro
years
tech
ago.
is a thing.
Yeah, retro tech.
Looks at industrial upgrades.
Look, industrial mods are a meme and a half.
Hey, man, what I really want is I really want them to come out with a new and upgraded swordsman. Give me back my swordsman.
I'm kind of surprised it hasn't, to be honest.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's a cool model, too.
They're saving it for when they retake New Avalon.
It'll be the secret weapon to surpass
Yeah.
Metal Gear in the retaking of New Avalon.
No, it's the celebration to commemorate it. The bringing it back.
Maybe.
Give me what I want.
So, anyway, the awesome 9Q has a battle value of 1875 and a point value of 45. And you probably don't want to face one of those down.
Nope.
So next up, a year later, we have the 10KM, seen in 3068. This guy's got a movement profile of 3-5, a Guardian ECM in the center torso, a heavy PPC in the right torso, a heavy PPC in the left torso, and then a snub-nose PPC in the right arm. It's got 18 double heat sinks, and it also has endo steel for some weight savings, and a compact fusion engine and a compact gyro to help make the room for all those double heat sinks and PPCs.
It also makes it a little bit harder to hit the engine and gyro, which is nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All I have to say is love it.
Yeah, I almost kind of wish it had, instead of the heavies, ERs, because
No.
I don't know why in my mind I always get the idea that compact gyro and compact engine mechs are designed to get in real close because you're pretty much unkillable anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might
Yeah.
as well be in the thick of it.
Yeah.
But this thing is sitting back, just throwing hate from a decent distance, and you're shooting back at it, and it just does not care.
Yeah.
Like, you literally have to just rip this thing apart. And it is built like a truck, so it's just going to be like, cool.
I give no care.
Like, think about it. How many mechs could actually duel this thing at, like, decent or mid-range? Like, not a lot of things can stand up to this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this thing really wants to be at the, like, 6 to 9 range for whatever it is, because, like, if it can be exactly at 6, then you're getting the short range and the ECM as well as the proper damage for the snub nose. But you don't want to get too close.
Yeah, you get in that perfect range band, but as I said, Brent, think about how many things can actually challenge this guy.
And it's an awesome, which means it's got a lot of armor.
Exactly. Like, that's what I'm thinking here. Is it's like
It's like
even
sinking here.
sinking. I don't know. Anyway, I'm looking at it, and the idea that I'm coming to right now is even like the Republic of the Sphere, like tripods, those super heavies, would have a hard time dealing with this guy.
Yeah, they would think twice about what they're doing.
Like, the best thing that I can think of to crack this thing is a Fafnir with twin heavy Goss.
Yeah.
And even that's gonna, I don't know, because that's
Gonna
gonna
have
be
a
a
bad
close
time.
one. Yeah, because you're looking at, I think the Fafnir has an XL, doesn't it?
Yeah. Especially to get the double heavy goes.
So if
It
you
might have a
pop,
light.
let me take a look.
So
I know
what
this
you're
is-
saying is the counter to this is artillery. Okay, got it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, essentially, but again, you have to have that artillery to do that.
Yeah.
You don't have like a battery of guns on standby.
Want every
like,
gun
you-
to fire on that man.
Yeah, basically, it's like I need that artillery battery to wipe this man from existence, but you're still dealing with.
The Fafnir with the heavy Gauss is a standard engine.
Okay, so
And it has more armor.
Okay,
Well,
yeah,
it's
it does.
it's 100 tons.
Hey man.
Yeah, I mean, for an 80-ton awesome though, this is.
This is a high watermark.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is a high watermark.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even then, it's still gonna give that Fafnir a run for its money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just kind of where I'm going with it. Not trying to be like, this is the unkillable machine. I'm just like, I wouldn't want to fight this thing, especially if it's, you know, lance on lance engagement.
Yeah, because this thing's going to be just acting as support to whatever else
Yeah,
it's got.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not going to be in the thick of the fight. It's going to be sitting back, blasting away as you and your buddies try and fight your way to it.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
it's going to make you go away.
I started
Yeah.
blasting.
Yeah.
And I mean, the snub-nosed PPC is what you're going to drop because to help modulate your heat. So, it consistently will be putting out 30 damage downrange on an off round. Like, that's... Ugh.
Yeah, it's basically like, oh, you get a little close snub nose. All right, now I'm back to the heavy PPCs. Just like all I think about is literally the pilot just sitting in his mech, just pulling the trigger with the heavy PPCs.
Mm-hmm.
Like as soon as they cycle up, hit the button again. As soon as they cycle up, hit the button again. Like not even getting warm in his mech. He's just like a nice temperate, like 60 degrees in there, just nice and happy. Maybe occasionally spike the heat with a snub nose, but like. Again, like you said, you're tossing 30 damage.
Yep.
And you have a Guardian ECM, so anybody gets too close to you, like, they're not gonna have fun.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Well, this guy's got a battle value of 1961 and a point value of 46. So I think it's a pretty good deal for that price tag.
Oh, yeah.
So 2 years later, we have a personal ride, a custom of this model, the 10KM Cameron, and it's got a movement profile of 3.5. It is a mixed inner sphere experimental tech, and it's got a ER small laser in the head, Guardian ECM in the center torso, improved C3 in the right torso, ER PPC clan in the right torso, ER PPC clan in the left torso, a targeting computer in the left torso, and a snub-nosed PPC. It's got 19 double heat sinks, which are clan, so you get a whole bunch of savings on the critical slots. Still endosteel, still compact fusion, and gyro, but there's a little dot on the side of them now. Not sure why that's...
I believe they're armored?
Yeah, armored component.
Ah, nice. Okay. I don't think I've seen that notation before.
Yeah, they're not very common.
Mm-hmm. So you're still throwing the same amount of damage. You've got a longer range. You can deal with the heat slightly better. And you've got a improved C3 and a targeting computer. This thing is disgusting.
Just like its owner.
I mean,
absolutely disgusting.
I mean, it's a godless Wabi's mech, but like... It's just.
I don't want to take notes from it, but I kind of do want to take notes from it.
It's like that mech you're looking at. You're like, I don't want to love it, but do I love it?
It's funny. It's because Cameron's like, Tex, replace the 2 heavy PPCs with E-Clan ER PPCs. And they're like, what about the snub nose? And he's like, no, leave that.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you just replace that too, Cameron? Come on. You guys didn't have a 3rd clan ER PPC laying around?
I mean, you could even have thrown a ER clan large laser in there.
Yeah, or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I do like the snub-nosed PPC just for flavor. Cause
it's nice flavor.
Yeah.
I guess heat curve wise it helps.
But this thing is super spicy, and you can find it in the source book for Total Chaos, because Wabi Jihad bad times.
I mean, bad times if you're not a Wabi. Although I guess the end of it's bad times if you are a Wabi, so...
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for a lot of Wabis, they kind of just got to escape and, do their own thing. It might have worked out.
Look, we got places to be.
So this guy's got a battle value of 24.66 and a point value of 53, bumping up that a bit, because clan tech.
Yep.
Next up, we have the 9Q Clat with the K.
Clot.
It's a personal ride. It's got a movement profile of 3.5. It's got a small pulse laser in the head. It's got a C3 slave in the center torso, a PPC in the right torso, a PPC in the left torso, a PPC in the right arm, and a PPC in the left arm. And it has 19 double heat sinks. So very similar to the original. They just kind of swapped out the C3, or swapped in the C3 for the ECM and upgraded the small laser to a pulse.
Yeah, nice and easy.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. It's not bad.
Yeah, it does its job.
I think for the most part, it's kind of a side grade.
Yeah.
But that slave C3 is sweet, so...
Especially on something designed to snipe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a larger unit model, whereas the other one would be a single lance deployment sort of unit.
Yeah. This guy needs to work with at least like a company level formation or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not going to do well in a small group. but supporting like a company or even like a battalion assault, like he's gonna go well with like a fire support company.
Yeah.
Or just a really good C3 lance that's, like that works as
Yeah.
a
Seems
single
really well.
unit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
again,
that's
like,
pushing, that's like the basement level, there's more potential there.
yeah, I would rather take this guy out with like an actual like company or battalion, probably company level force.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a nice centerpiece to the
back.
to like to your fire support like lances and stuff like that. He's gonna be able to lay some hurt. He's not gonna be well, I wouldn't even call him a centerpiece because there's better fire support mechs, but he's gonna be a nice addition. That's what I'll go with. He doesn't take away from that or the lance. He definitely adds to the lance.
Yeah. Also, I think the C3 versus the ECM changes it a little bit, and adding the pulse laser makes it nicer because, like, theoretically, you could be moving forward on something with this to be giving data to the rest of your unit, and you're okay getting closer than 3 to, like, take a turn of venting heat and, just punching and using that small pulse laser because you're also giving data to other people.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I can definitely see this being sort of a more aggressive mech with a fire support group.
Like just have a couple turns of gaining, we'll say 4 heat for the sake of argument, and then 1 turn of dumping it all when you're getting close to that, like, the +2 modifier. You don't actually have to deal with it because you're punching this time, or like the pulse negates that as you dump the heat and are going fisticuffsy.
Yeah.
Throwing hams.
Damn hams.
Them hams.
Hams.
Well, Collat was seen in 30-71 in this ride, and he's got a battle value of 1806.
Oh, this is the Crimson Hawk guy, isn't it? Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. This is his mech.
And a point value of 46. Yes,
Yep.
This is his.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. But so what you're saying is we'll have more on the pilot later.
Yeah, we will. Just
check in later.
Yeah.
Sorry, it popped in my head and I was like, wait a minute, I know that name.
Yeah.
Wait, just gosh darn.
Speaking of things to check in with later, we have the 8Q for Buck, who is another pilot profile that we will be touching on later. And this model was seen somewhere between 3070 and 3075. It's got a movement profile of 5'8". It's got a PPC in the right torso, a PPC in the left torso, and a PPC in the right arm. It's got 16 double heat sinks, and it has ferro armor and an XL engine and an XL gyro.
Nice.
It's an interesting awesome.
Sometimes you just gotta have stuff die, okay? This one goes all kill.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I kind of get where they're going with this thing, but at the same time, like, I'm just like, this just doesn't feel like an awesome to me.
No, it doesn't.
Because I'm looking at the speed right now on this thing. It goes 8 running.
Yeah, which is like fast for an awesome.
Yeah, so like the guy who pilots this was like, you know what I want to do? And somebody was like, what's that? I literally want to run my enemies down in my awesome. And they're like, wait a minute, what? And he's like, yes. Yeah, this thing is he's a monster.
Considering he is eventually the commander of his mercenary unit who runs down pirates in the periphery for a good chunk of time towards the latter part of his career, it makes sense.
Yeah, like if you want to run down pirates that are running in an awesome, like, this is the way to do it. It's just like, yeah.
Just, I guess.
I mean, hey man, you do you, but I'm sure he was really good at it, because this awesome is going to literally come find you and kill you.
You do not have hope. Die already.
Yeah. It essentially turns into the idea of you can run but you're gonna die tired kind of thought process.
Yep.
And like you're definitely gonna die tired in this case.
So this guy's got a BV of 1787 and a point value of 42. So the XL engine and gyro definitely hurting a little bit there, but still I think a very formidable machine because is he neutral?
Yeah, that makes it even better.
Sometimes you just gotta be neutral in your heat, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. What did he do?
So this guy is followed up in 3079 with the 11M, which is a interesting experimental attempt.
It is a great time. Okay.
I like it, but it also feels
weird,
complicated for the sake of complicated.
Look, and that's exactly why you take it, is because it is complicated for the sake of complicated.
So, as I said, the 11M was seen in 3079. It's mixed inner sphere experimental tech. It's got a movement profile of 3-5. It's got 2 light PPCs in the center torso, 2 light PPCs in the right torso, as well as 2 PPC capacitors. It's got 2 light PPCs in the left torso, as well as 2 light PPC capacitors. And then in the right arm, it's got a light PPC. In the left arm, it's got a light PPC. It's got 20 double heat sinks, which are clan, so just 2 slots. And this is interesting.
It's a way to describe it.
It's a way to describe it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hate it. I'm just kind of like, huh.
But why?
Yeah.
It also has slightly different art, which is, reflective of the double PPCs in the body, which is interesting.
It looks like it lost weight.
Yeah.
It looks like it dieted.
The 11M is Merrick going, we need to try some weird light PPC capacitor shenanigans out. Let's use the awesome. Because we know it works with PPCs.
Yeah. Like, I'm not sure. Would you want to leapfrog the capacitors, or would you want to, alternate them? So, each turn you're pumping out, you're charging one and discharging the other in each torso.
I think I'd want to do something like that, where you're alternating. That way you're continuously doing it.
Yeah, because then you're constantly pumping out 10, but, you've also got the 2 in your center torso and the arms that you are also, this is, also, you're generating a lot of heat in this thing, and even though you've got 20 heat sinks, I think you're...
20 clan double heat sinks.
Yes, I think you're going to still get a little toasty there because...
Yeah.
You're going to get warm.
Yeah.
You're going to get warm no matter what happens in this thing, so...
Because you can generate 50 if you are using the capacitors alternating, charging and discharging each turn, and firing all the other light PPCs, and that's not counting movement, so... yeah.
Yup.
Yeah, what's really weird to me is that it's an experimental Merrick mech put out during the end of the Jihad. So, this is not peak Merrick hours right here. This is the Merricks are putting tons of money into this for some reason.
While the Free Worlds League is burning to the ground.
Yeah, while the Free Worlds League's burning to the ground. Someone had extra government funding. It was I just need to use this before it doesn't matter.
Before it no longer exists.
Yes. So we got the 11M out of it.
My defense budget is literally about to disappear, so I am going to cash in on this.
I mean, out of everything we could have got.
Basically what the company that designed it was doing was no, it looks like our defense budget money is about to disappear or get really small, so let's create something cool with this.
While we still can.
Yeah, let's burn this money on something at least.
Mm-hmm. Well, this crazy thing has a battle value of 1801 and a point value of 42. We then come to another prototype, the AWS-11R. This one was seen in 3133, and it's got a movement profile of 356. The 6 being when you have the
supercharger.
The supercharger activated.
Oh, no.
This one's great. Don't you make those words.
It's got an ER medium laser in the head. It's got an extended LRM-15 in the right torso, an LRM-15 in the left torso, a light Gauss rifle in the right arm, and a Guardian ECM suite in the left arm. It's got 1 ton of ammo in the right arm with the Case 2 protecting the light Gauss rifle. It's got Case 2 in the center torso for the 3 tons of extended range LRM ammo, and it's got an XL engine as well, and it's a compact gyro, and then 1 ton of light Gauss rifle in the right torso, and and Case 2 protecting 2 tons of LRM ammo in the left torso, as well as stealth armor, 10 double heat sinks.
And a cooling pod.
Where's the cooling pod?
Left arm.
Yes, there it is. Okay, slot 4 in the second bracket. Oh, this is...
God.
Look, you guys may not like the look of this, but this is peak awesome performance right here.
No, this is an overcomplicated.
This is someone was like, I can get the Republic of the Sphere to buy anything I want them to.
Oh, that explains it. I was about to ask who designed this monstrosity,
I'm
and then you
pretty
say
sure it's the
Republic of the
Republic.
Sphere, and it's like, all right, that actually makes a lot of sense.
I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's good or bad. I just don't know.
Awesome.
I just don't even want to think about it.
No, sorry, this isn't the Republic. You want to know who it is?
Who?
I'll give you 2 guesses.
This is going
Liao?
to be Federation.
And also no.
Combine?
Free Worlds League.
Oh boy.
Yeah, baby. Coming at you with
Nice.
the best awesome this side of the sphere.
That explains why it is a godless, overpriced monstrosity.
That also explains its design quirks of distracting and poor performance.
Yes.
Yup.
It is a weird boy.
It is a thing. I don't know why, but you know.
It's got a battle value of 1878 and a point value of 41. It also has some unique art, which almost looks like it should also have shields on its arms, but
Yeah.
and yeah, just like
I like it.
it kind of looks like a beehive setup shop in its torsos.
Yeah. You know what's even better is that there's supposedly a variant of the 11R called the 11V that uses direct fire weaponry. So who knows what's in it? Because I don't. My guess, Gauss rifles.
We've scoured the internet for many info on the awesome for this episode. In fact, we have something hot off the presses that isn't even on master unit list yet. But we couldn't find anything about that 11V, you said?
Yeah, it's one of the variants from TRO 3150 that doesn't have a variant yet.
Yeah, it's a
rules
hinted
yet.
variant.
Yeah, it's one of those
Yeah.
variants. They're like, this exists, and we're like, cool, rules, please. And they're like, nah. We'll get back to you on that one, fam. And it's like, please, pretty please. It's been
Rules when? Rules?
Speaking of getting back to the basics, to the family, to the cornerstone, we have
it's been
the
7
11.
years.
We have the 11H in 3142, which is actually 9 years there, Chandler. But I know you're talking about something else.
No, I was talking about since TRO 3150 was released.
Yeah. So the 11H has a movement profile of a 3-5. It is mixed tech base, but standard rule set. It has a heavy PPC in the right arm, heavy PPC in the left torso, heavy PPC in the right torso, and an ER small laser inner sphere in the head. It's got 23 clan double heat sinks. It has endo steel clan, and this has got a standard engine, standard gyro. It's because it's got the clan heat sinks, it can fit an extra 2 in its legs. It's very strong.
Don't worry. I'm pretty sure this is also a Free Worlds League design. So just don't ask us what our concept of mech design is. Because the answer
actually,
is
not.
What's going on? I don't know.
This design is actually used by basically all
Yeah.
the inner sphere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm just saying that we came up with it. We did it first.
Oh my god, no one cares.
This is why this is why we go to therapy.
Yeah.
So
Might also be because you kill your brother, but I don't know.
Fair.
it's getting Shakespearean in here.
What's the Free Worlds League doing this week? Killing our neighbor, who
Hey.
happens to be related to me.
Nah, our neighbor now is the Wolf Empire man.
Alright, well, I mean, all I'm saying is there's bound to be another civil war in the Free Worlds League within the next, decade.
Hey, whoa.
No.
It's
They
because
have to
it's
get the
true.
full band back together before that countdown
yep.
starts. So they've got a little. As long as they keep the Endurians out, they're fine.
It's the Endurians that cause all the problems, obviously.
Yes, the Endurians. Yeah, because they didn't cause Anton Merrick to rebel or anything.
Anyway,
Yeah.
the 11H has a battle value of 2036 and a point value of 46, and it's very much a return to form of the original kind of 8Q, except standardized for the Ill Clan era. We have one final model, which is the one I hinted at earlier in the episode, the Awesome C, which was discovered by Chandler here, who found it while doing some research about his favorite faction. So the Awesome C is the clan variant. We don't know exactly when it came out, but we're guessing Ill Clan era or very end of the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
It's got a movement profile of 3-5. It's got an ER PPC in the left arm, the right torso, the right arm, and the left torso. It's got 27 double heat sinks. It's got a standard engine, a standard gyro. It's got endo composite. And yeah, this is, again, just a very standard sort of awesome meat and potatoes. It does what it says, and it does a lot of it. And it is scary. It can get real hot because, you're theoretically, if running, getting 8 heat per turn.
Yeah.
So you'll drop a PPC every third turn, I guess, but...
You just alternate every other turn, because 8 heat will mess you up.
True. That's the exact mark for the +1 modifier.
Yeah. The Awesome C is the Scorpion Empire seeing the 11H and saying, hold my beer, and then goes all out.
I mean, the endo composite is super cool and works well because, it's got that just enough slots.
Yeah. People asking why it doesn't have endo steel, it's because it has double heat sinks everywhere. Literally everywhere. Anywhere that there's not an engine slot or a weapon, it's probably got double heat sink there. There's exactly one slot left in the head, and the only reason it doesn't have one there is because it can't fit a double heat sink in a single slot.
Yep.
Put a compact heat sink in one.
Obviously, the answer is to take it, give it a small cockpit, shave a half ton of armor off, and then another double heat sink. Another one.
So this guy's got a battle value of 2737 and a point value of 81, which is expensive and spicy, but also very strong and very powerful.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal in Alpha Strike with 666 across the board.
The mech of the devil.
You can't get away from it. You go far away, it still hits you for 6. You get in close, it still hits you for 6. Mm-hmm. It's got a ton of armor. It's got a ton of structure.
Yeah. It's clan-based tech, basically. So it's got 23 long, it's 15 damage, 15 heat. Ugh.
Let me guess, this is Sea Fox, right?
No,
Scorpions. Oh, no, this is Scorpions. My bad.
Yeah.
Part of the Hellion Keshik.
Yeah.
For some reason, I had this thought in my head. I was like, this sounds like something Sea Fox would be exporting to, everyone.
Oh, I'm sure Sea Fox is trying to get a hold of it.
Yeah, as soon as they could, as soon as they can, they will.
Yeah. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when, really.
Sea Fox. I see you got a nice mech design there.
It's a shame if someone sold it to everyone else.
Yeah.
We recently got a seat in the Senate of the Free Worlds League, and wouldn't you know it, their copyright, trademark, and patent laws changed suddenly, and we're able to make a whole bunch of neat stuff legally.
I know, right?
Oh, you gotta love how much they've manipulated that system.
Oh yeah.
Although the Free Worlds League seems just plain happy to have them because they're like, you're cool.
You got a clan, essentially a full clan, sitting on your border with both the Wolf Empire and what was the Republic of the Sphere. Sign me up. Yeah. They're a nice bumper.
And they're selling you nice things.
Yes.
So.
And they're taking care of your citizens. I mean, win-win-win.
Yep. So that wraps it up for the Awesome. Those are all the models we currently have stats for. And of course, we have next up our pilot profiles. We're going to start off with Buck Tripp, who is the awesome pilot we talked about of the 8Q. So Buck grew up in the mercenary life, and his family was the Thumpers. His father was third in line for command and passed away when Buck was relatively young during a Thumper contract with the Lyran half of the Federated Commonwealth. Buck would inherit his father's awesome and become a mech warrior of his own right, soon becoming an officer with the Thumpers. There he worked to upgrade not only his awesome but all of the machines under him, as he viewed the breakdown in tech as a major factor for his father's death, and the death of many friends in the Thumpers. However, still being low on the command ladder, he bid his time upgrading his unit's equipment and gathering support. After several years of inter-unit politicking and proof of skill and planning, Buck was able to, air quote, convince his commander to retire early, and he was elevated to the position of unit commander for the Thumpers. He then took the unit into the Chaos March and took contracts with Edsich Motors, where they were able to increase the unit's overall strength, but all of the C-bills they earned were used to hire and pay highly skilled personnel. After several years in the Chaos March, Buck took the Thumpers into the periphery to take a garrison contract with the Turian Concordat. While lucrative, the contract saw little to no combat, and their upgrades were stagnated by the lack of advanced tech in the periphery.
Classic.
After the Turian Concordat commanders prevented the Thumpers from taking part in the dust-up between the Federated Sons and the Turian Concordat, preventing them from gaining the much-valued combat pay, Buck took the Thumpers into a contract with the Fitvelt Coalition, where they were valued members of the military, and after several years, the Thumpers became a proper military unit of the Coalition, laying down roots in the receptive soil of the population. They hunted pirates and defended the Coalition, often taking heavy losses from the more numerous pirate forces that fought with lower tech, but the appreciation of the population made the Thumpers' personnel happy to pay the cost for their adopted planets and homes.
I think that's just nice.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing is how some of these, like, especially with, like, the Furtveld Coalition, which is a really small minor nation, essentially, like, if I remember right, they're Federated Sons.
Yeah, they broke off from the Federated Sons in the Jihad, and no one's bothered to bring them back.
Well, they kind of have, but, like, at the same time, like, I know the policy of Yvonne was kind of just, you know, leave them alone. Like, they serve a nice buffer region, they kind of do their thing out there, like, not hurt nobody.
They aren't adversarial, so
And I know she kind of was trying to do more of a peaceful, like, negotiation with some of the planets to bring them back into the fold, which did work out quite nicely, because a lot of the planets were like, oh, we kind of banded together temporarily because, you know, jihad, and...
Yeah.
But, so a bunch of them did come back in, but I know she had to rein in the March Lord for the Periphery March, because he was trying to be like, I'm gonna go invade them! And she was like, no, you're not.
Oh.
Yeah, he got a little uppity about, you know, restoring the glory of the region, and she was not about that life, because we don't need any more conflict.
Because jihad.
Yeah.
Gestures at all the jihad.
Yeah, but, like, I do find it interesting when house units, or, like, not house units, mercenary units show up in an area and are like, you know, this area ain't bad. We're just gonna stick around, and end up just basically becoming the military, and it's like, oh, well... We're not really mercenaries anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we're now a house unit.
I mean, when it's done and not through the, like, quote unquote strong arming of the company store, it always makes very cool, interesting narratives.
Yeah.
Like McCameron's armored cavalry. Like, that's honest. I don't really care for their home, but I do find them interesting because they're a good example of, like, a unit that basically was like, oh, well, this is working out for everybody, so let's just stick
Make
around.
it permanent.
Yeah.
Also, they have an insane amount of, like, autonomy in that military structure, which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of left to their own devices, and no one really messes with them because, again, like,
the only person they really report to is technically the Chancellor.
Yeah. I mean, even, again, we're going on a tangent, but even then, like, if they really wanted to, they could tell him to off and kind of do their own thing, not really have any issues. Again, if they
I think there'd be some consequences, but I think they could. If they wanted to break free, I think they could.
Oh, I'm just saying military force-wise, if they had everybody on board across the entirety of the Big Mac, like, you're dropping 4 armored cavalry regiments on the Capellan Confederation. Like,
yeah.
Who's gonna...
You either let them go or you're going to have a really big problem real soon.
Yeah, like, they are literally, if you think about it, they are one of those things that, like, balances out the Chancellor. Because it's either you play ball with us or you don't. And the current situation, which, if you've been reading the current lore, things are
not going too
spicy.
Yeah, but also a spicy part of that is, Denai's in their command structure.
Yeah. So, we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe the Capellan Confederation lights on fire. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows?
Find out next week on Dragon Ball Z.
Yep. There you go. I'm just saying, like, it makes it interesting.
Speaking of interesting, we had that model earlier, the Cameron. You want to tell us a little more about that, Chandler?
Yes.
Oh,
They're totally not insane user. Cameron St. James. We're going with James.
Jermaine?
Really?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm assuming it's St. James because, like, St. James is a bunch of cities and locations in Canada.
Is that how they spell it, though? Yeah, whatever. St. James. We're going with St. James. If someone knows better, let me know.
For the purposes of this lecture, it's St. James.
Yes. All right. So Cameron St. James, for those of you who do not know, was one of the central figures of the Word of Blake Jihad. But he actually started his service with the sect much earlier in life. He was born in 3027, but it's uncertain when or how he even joined Comstar. What is known is that eventually he was part of the elite ROM unit known as Blake's Wraith, which is one of the most elite ROM units. And for those of you who are not aware, ROM is essentially Comstar's secret service, effectively.
Secret Service, intelligence service, like it's the Maskarova and
MI6,
all
Loki,
wrapped together. Yeah,
all of it. Safe, good old safe. Search and find everything, man. All right. Cameron would leave Comstar during the schism and would join with the Word of Blake and would quickly rise through its structures, partially due to a relationship he had formed with a Demona Aziz, which was potentially a romantic one. So good on you, Cameron. St. James would end up as the leader of the highly fanatical Toyama sect, replacing Demona, before he became the Precentor Marshal of the Word of Blake itself after the assassination of the previous Precentor Marshal, Trent Arian. It should be mentioned, for legal reasons, that both of his major promotions came after either a highly suspicious death or an outright assassination. Of course, there isn't anything directly tying him to these deaths, but this is Cameron St. James, so I'll let you fill in the blanks there.
I mean, I'm sure he has quote-unquote friends.
Yes. Cameron, of course, would not stay out of the spotlight, because how can you as the Precentor Marshal of the Word of Blake? And he would eventually become the alleged lover of Kali Liao, the leader of the Thuggee cult in the Capellan Confederation, and the sister to Sun Tzu Liao? Or is
yes.
Yeah, okay, sister, yeah. They would allegedly have a son together, conveniently also named Cameron St. James Liao, in 3064, and then potentially and allegedly a second male child in 3069. Nice. Of course, this
busy with crazy.
Yeah. Well, crazy likes crazy, I suppose. Birds of a feather.
Crazy does like crazy. Anyway.
Cameron would be highly involved in the jihad, as he would end up pretty much answering directly to the master in some way, shape, or form. And of course, as the jihad went south for the Word of Blake, he would slowly retreat to Terra. And during Operation Scour, St. James would attempt to stop Devlin's Stone in North America. And after a counterattack that he mounted near Little Rock, Cameron and Devlin would have a duel near the Castle Bryan of Devil's Tower. And during this duel, Cameron St. James, hero to the Word of Blake, ex-Comstar Rom, would die during the duel, piloting his highly customized awesome named Demona.
Yay. Also, it should be noted that he's the guy that also killed Paul Masters.
Just get a little popper, one of those little party poppers.
Anyway.
Didn't he also have the
HPG cannon one? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he had the weird one.
Look, Cameron was insane, okay.
Yeah, Cameron did some weird things, guys. Just accept it.
I mean, I don't think we need to accept it, but we can learn from it, we'll say.
Yeah, we can do that too. Alright, so moving on. Moving kindly along. So the next guy is Rodney Klatt. He is a member of the Crimson Hawks. The third iteration of the unit, I think? Third. Some iteration of this unit.
The mercenary unit that won't die, just like the GDL.
Yeah. So basically, this is the third iteration. So he served under the command of Jeremiah Youngblood. The third Jeremiah Youngblood. Wait, hold on. Let me look.
Youngblood.
So he served under Jeremiah Youngblood II, who is the son of Jason Youngblood, who is the son of Jeremiah Youngblood, the original commander of the Crimson Hawks. So anyway, he served under his command during the Jihad, taking part in that, piloting a 9Q Awesome. He was the XO and bodyguard of Jeremiah Youngblood, and for the most part, he basically, there's very little written on him, but he was essentially the bodyguard, and he was also in one of the heaviest mechs in the entirety of the Crimson Hawks, which is a unit noted for its speed, and yet they have this 9Q Awesome just rolling around with them. So
Crimson
Which is funny. Which is funny because they would probably want the 8Q Buck because it's got the 5.8 as opposed to the 3.5.
Yeah, that speed though.
Dash.
Gas. But yeah, so that's that guy. That's all I got. On to the next one.
Another one.
Another one. One more. In fact, we have Chu-Ai Conrad Roberts. And Roberts is a pilot of an 11H Awesome that he captured from the AFFS and their maintenance bay. How he got there is a long story, but the abridged version is that Conrad barely graduated from the Kajikazawa Gymnasium, not due to lack of skill or grades, but due to his, air quote, questionable politics. However, Sorry, go ahead.
His rack of discipline.
Whatever that means. Due to this, he was assigned a position in the 7th Ghost Regiment, where he would have languished in an uninspired career. However, when the Fed-Sun Draconis border escalated into a conflict, Conrad was captured by the Sun's planetary militia and sent to a POW facility. In captivity, he would rally his fellow DCMS POWs and organize them to strike when the time was right. When they did strike, the POWs escaped and raided a maintenance facility securing planetary transport and a lance of Fed-Sun machines. Robert was promoted to Chu-Ai due to his previous reputation and the shame of being captured by a planetary militia, but was able to keep his 11H he secured, and the number of POWs he returned has done much to, again air quotes, clean up his reputation. Once again showing skill and ability to think are useful, but traditional systems will push you down if you don't fall in line.
The Draconis Combine screwing you over? No.
Never.
No.
Never.
Mm-hmm.
Never gonna give you up.
Well, seeing as how we are talking about the Awesome for the second episode, we figured the data dive we should do.
We have one more pilot.
Oh, we have one more pilot? Oh, let's go.
One. Last pilot for today comes from the same book that gave us the Awesome Sea Spotlight on Hellion Keshik. If you like the Ice Hellions or the Scorpions, and by Scorpions I mean blood Scorpions. I mean these Goliath Scorpions, the Scorpio Pyrio, or the Scorpion Empire, depending on what you want to say.
The Blood Scorpions are what happened when they finally absorbed the blood spirits.
Yes, because Scorpions. They totally would do that, yeah. We have Rudolf Schmidt, who is a Star Colonel in the Hellion Keshik. And he is actually 51 at the time, so he's a very old clan warrior and is a very old Star Colonel. Rudolf Schmidt was actually the last Captain Marshal of the Hanseatic Defense Force, so the essentially commander-in-chief of the Hanseatic League's Defenders Army, whatever you want to call him. He was made a bondsman after ordering the surrender of the Hanseatic Defense Force following the suicide of the Hanseatic League's, what are they called? Council, the Merchant Council.
Right, Merchant Council.
He actually was the founder of a blood name, the Schmidt blood name, in 3145, so very shortly after the fall of the Hanseatic League. During this time, he was paraded around to do speeches as part of the bonding between the Scorpion Empire and their new Hanseatic League
peasants,
charges, however you want to call it.
Slaves.
However, this did tire on him, and eventually he would win a trial position to become a Star Commander in the Alpha Galaxy. Eventually, he would be transferred over to Eta Galaxy, and would become a Star Colonel. In 3149, when the Hellion Keshik was looking for new warriors to fill vacancies, he would trial in and become the oldest warrior in the Keshik's history at 51. Well, not 51, that was 49 at the time.
Impressive.
despite his age, he is continuously rated as perhaps the best warrior in the Keshik, and it is rumored that he will be fulfilling the Sakon position in the future in the Scorpion Empire, as it is rumored that he'll be following in Connor Rude's footsteps after he was absorbed by the Scorpions from his Ice Hellion days. Rudolf Schmidt, folks, don't say you can't do good stuff after being 50.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and having your nation conquered by Clanner.
Yeah, that too.
Hey, it worked out for him, though.
Proof that you can make the best of a bad situation.
Pretty much. I mean, it kind of worked out really well for him, to be honest. Then again, he did fight a really good campaign against
yeah, he didn't mess around in
Scorpions.
that campaign.
He proved his merit. They're like, yeah, we'll take you as a bondsman.
Yeah, they're like, you cool. Yeah, you kind of made it difficult, so...
You kind of passed the basic idea of being a clan warrior, which is beat us.
Yeah.
Well, now that we have covered the models of the awesome and the pilots of the awesome, for our data dive on the second episode about the awesome, we figured we'd talk about something that is...
Awesome.
integral to the awesome's identity, the PPC.
Yes.
And Chandler is going to take point on this bad boy, so take it away, Chandler.
All right, folks. So today we'll be talking about the particle projector cannon, also known as the PPC, also known as man-made lightning, also known as very scary lightning weapon. Don't get shot by it.
Yes.
As the name implies, it is in fact an energy weapon. Surprise. In general, how it works is they will fire a concentrated stream of protons and or ions at a target, which results in both thermal and kinetic damage. So you kind of get a mix of the feeling of getting hit by an autocannon, but also getting hit by a laser because, well, it does both.
There is also like the in-cannon crackle, discharge, what have you.
Yes. There are multiple different ways to form the essentially projectile that the PPC fires, and it kind of varies by the production variant and the manufacturer. So something like the Ceres Arm Smasher, which you see a lot in the Capellan Confederation on the Vindicator, it's pretty stock standard, but it's really fancy because it's purposefully designed to be able to intake water to cool the weapon down real fast, because cooling something after it's been superheated totally doesn't mess up any of the internals.
I mean, thermal expansion and retraction is not a thing.
No, it's not. And then, of course, you've got the Lord's Light variants, which are very popular in the Dakona's Combine, and they are noted to be really flexible in their mounting and also compact, hence why the Panther is able to have that arm-mounted PPC and still have its hand, which is really nice for all the punching you have to do is with the Panther.
Them hams.
And then you get really weird ones like the Party Kill Heavy Cannon, which operates very differently from other PPCs, which instead of doing the normal energy generation through a capacitor and then shooting it, using that to get the ions and everything, what it does is it has a series of magnetic collection bottles where it siphons plasma directly off of the mech's fusion core or the vehicle's fusion reactor. Essentially, it stores it in those like magnetic bottles and then eventually fires those out as almost a shell out of the front of the PPC, and it just kind of stays in a magnetic ball until it hits the target. But
I feel like that's getting close to like the plasma rifle or
cannon it's
territory.
Getting up there. But this does have issues as it's really unstable in the short range, and then after a certain point, it pretty much loses all of its cohesion and just kind of turns into fancy lights.
So a precursor to the snub?
Less that and more of it's a fancy in-universe way to explain minimum range and long-range bands.
Fair.
And speaking of minimum range, most PPCs do have minimum range. And now that we've gone over a bit of the basics, and speaking of basics, I totally forgot a very important part of the standard PPC, which is the field inhibitor. Due to the way the PPC functions, it generates a lot of electronic feedback because who would have thought lots of magnets doing magnet things would cause electronic feedback? And so PPCs are equipped with field inhibitors to prevent that from essentially utterly destroying the mech's electronics, or at least messing them up for the firing phase of it. And that is why PPCs have a minimum range, is because within that 90 meters, it disrupts the way the PPC fires, essentially. But you can disable the inhibitor to, put the PPC right up to a mech's cockpit, pull the trigger, and not have to worry about it. But if it blows out all your electronics, that's on you, man. And it's not covered under warranty, so make sure you got that good old CFOX warranty then.
If I recall correctly, in one of the battles of Huntress, a thug switched off its inhibitors to make a shot, which was successful, but basically ruptured the barrel.
Yeah, the magnetic and electronic feedback will wreck just about anything if you're really unlucky. And the barrel being ruptured is probably one of the least horrific things that can happen to your mech off of the PPC.
I remember right, that was a Highlander who did that, if I can remember the story right.
I recall it being a thug, but I could be wrong.
An assault mech with a PPC.
The pilot witnessing it could have been in a thug. It was over 20 years ago.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I know which story you're talking about. Yeah, it's a Highlander who does it.
Okay.
He's getting engaged by, I think, one or two smoke jaguars, and he's about to be overrun, and he just turns it off and says, this is after he taunts them and...
Oh, yeah, gets, wrecked.
Yeah, he basically says, let me show you how a real man fights, essentially.
And then gets yeeted.
Well, no, then yeets a smoke jaguar warrior and just beats him.
Yeah,
I read that a few years ago. I just remember that.
Just removes him from this plane of existence.
Yeah, as one would expect from a man of such breeding, we'll call it. Anyway, sorry.
But enough about how the PPC works. Of course, all you mech jocks are out there worried about what kind of PPCs are there. So, first of all, we have the bog standard PPC, introduced in 2460 by the Terrans.
We got blue PPCs.
Introduced in 2439 by the Terrans, but not really available to 2460. It's your standard PPC, hits you for 10 damage, does 10 heat, has a minimum range of 3, can hit you all the way out to 18, weighs 7 tons, and has 3 critical slots on your mech. It's what you get on the box. You can't get much more basic than this in a weapon. 10, 10, 18. Boom.
One might say hams.
Yes, because once they're within 3 hexes, you might as well just put it away and pull out the ham. But next up, we have a weird one, which is the Snubnose PPC, which was introduced by the Terrans originally in 2784, quickly lost to the Inner Sphere in 2790, and then reintroduced by the Draconis Combine in 3067. It still does 10 heat like a normal PPC, but now it has a damage fall off, so now it does 10 in short, 8 in medium, and 5 in long. Does not have a minimum range, which is really nice. And its short range is extended out to 9 hexes, as opposed to the standard PPC's short range of 6. So you have a really long short range, which means you have that 10 damage out to 9 hexes, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
It also weighs 1 ton less and takes up 1 less critical slot. So what's not to like? Essentially, Snubnose PPC, they took a PPC and sawed off the barrel. It's literally just a sawn-off PPC, practically.
It's a sawed-off shotgun for a PPC.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's essentially what it is. It's honestly cool. I use them a lot in what's it called?
MechWarrior Online.
MechWarrior Online. MechWarrior Online, but yeah. HPS too. Ooh, they're so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're a good weapon.
Very strong.
Very, very strong.
All right, and then next up, which is the one that you guys are probably really excited for, is the Extended Range, or ER, PPC. Introduced by the Terrans in 2751, it would go extinct in 2860, just to be reintroduced in 3037. Yeah, the clans never lost it, so they introduced their variant of it, the Clan ERPPC, in 2826. So that's why theirs was all fancy, because they had it for another couple 100 years. So learn your history, Inner Sphere. Don't lose everything.
This is what happens when you go nuclear.
Yeah.
Never go nuclear.
It's what happens when everyone decides to use the nuclear option of hippity hoppity, get off my property, I have nukes. But they think everyone's property is their property.
Hey man, it's free real estate.
It's free real estate. Don't mind the charred corpses or the nuclear fallout. It's free real estate.
It's free real estate.
And what makes the ERPPC really nice is it does not have a minimum range. I'm kind of unsure how it does it, to be completely honest, but it's cool.
I mean, it also extends the range, so, you would think it would focus it somehow that would make it more stable, therefore reducing the minimum.
Yes. Both versions of the ERPPC reach out to 23 hexes as opposed to the standard's 18, so a little bit more range. Both versions generate 15 heat, but the clan one does 15 damage, 15 whole damage, while the Inner Sphere one just does a paltry 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I say paltry, that's still scary. That's still 10 damage.
Yes.
Yeah, man, that's
AC 10 at LRM ranges.
Yes. And then the clan version weighs 6 tons and has 2 critical slots, while the Inner Sphere one weighs 7 tons and takes 3 critical slots. So, you got a trade-off there. But for all you jocks, it's probably a lot easier to get your mitts on the Inner Sphere ERPPCs, so just plan to use those ones unless you're in a really well-stocked area. And then next up, we have the Inner Sphere's answer to the clan ERPPC, the Heavy PPC, introduced in 3067 by Draconis Combine, because they really like PPCs.
They do.
It's their shtick. And the Heavy PPC essentially goes, yes, Inner Sphere, but does 15 damage. So it does 15 heat, 15 damage, and then it has the same range bands as the standard PPC. So a 3 hex minimum range, and then reaches out to 18. Instead of the 7 tons of the PPC, though, it does weigh 10, and it has critical slots of 4. So big, bulky, but hits like a truck. It's also probably pretty cheap in comparison to those fancy clan ER PPCs that C-Foxes keep trying to sell you.
True story.
And then on the opposite end, for all of you guys in light mechs, you have the Light PPC, also introduced in 3067 by the Draconis Combine. It's what if we took a PPC, but shrunk it down in half.
What if we made a PPC fun-sized?
Yes, it's a snack-sized PPC. It does 5 heat and 5 damage. It has the same range bands as the standard PPC, so 3 hex minimum range, out to 18. It only weighs 3 tons now, but still takes 2 critical slots. Very analogous to the ER medium laser, but has a touch more range over the Inner Sphere version of the ER medium laser. So you get a little bit of your money's worth. And it also only generates 5 heat, which isn't bad. And of course, what are PPCs without accessories? Because everyone likes accessories. And so the
peripherals, that's where you make the money.
Yes, this is where you make your money. So the accessory most desired is, of course, the PPC capacitor, which essentially allows a PPC to generate more stored energy to fire a bigger energy shell, in air quotes. And it generates 5 heat in addition to the normal firing, but also adds 5 damage to any kind of PPC it's attached to. So that dinky light PPC you had that only did 5 damage, if you add a ton of weight to it, 1 ton of weight, and 1 critical slot, it's now doing the same damage as a standard PPC for just 5 more heat and a couple of tons. And a ton in a slot.
But you also have to alternate it because it needs to charge.
Yes, they do have to be charged up, which is a problem, but
otherwise they are a really cool piece of tech. I like it because it also, I feel the PPC capacitor adds a level of tactics to a combat engagement that
you wouldn't normally have.
Yeah, or to find something similar to it, you would have to go back to 3025 and be really stripped down.
Yeah, get back into your retro tech.
Mm-hmm.
But remember when I said it does 5 plus 5 damage to any PPC? That means you could put this on a heavy PPC for a 20 damage hit. Or if you're being really cheeky and you can find yourself a nice, just like new ERPPC, clan ERPPC, you can have that do 20 damage at any range pretty much.
So spicy.
Yes. And the clans do produce these, so if you do have some C-Fox representative coming up to you trying to sell you an ERPPC, make sure to try to get it with the capacitor thrown in for free.
Mm-hmm. Just to sweeten the pot.
Yes.
Are there any other PPC peripherals?
There is one, actually. The answer to all your PPC woes, for those of you who don't like using them, the Blue Shield Particle Field Dampener, which was introduced in 3051 by the good old-fashioned Federated Commonwealth. Those are the good old days. Unfortunately, it's never really hit general production, but you'll find them around. The only general production mech that has it is the Quasimodo, which is essentially a 5-ton heavier hunchback with a lot of lasers. It's kind of scary. It'll mess you up, but
it'll do a number on you.
It will. I've literally taken one and I've gotten it heat up with the TSM, ran up to a light mech and just kicked its head off. I was like, yeah, no, you're done. You don't exist anymore.
You did that Art of the Dragon
Yeah. Well, I ran up to it, shot it with the 3 VSPs, made it fall over, and then kicked its head off. And I was like, this is it. You are gone. Who is next?
This feels amazing.
Just about had an AC-20. But essentially, what the Blue Shield Particle Field Dampener does is cut the damage of a PPC hit in half, because you and your PPCs. It weighs 3 tons, and it takes a critical slot in every location except for the head, so you do have some trade-offs for it. And the biggest issue with the Particle Field Dampener is that it requires a lot of air intake, which causes a lot of dust and debris to be sucked in, because, battlefields aren't clean, as I'm sure all of you know if you've had your techs make you clean your mechs.
And we're not just talking about cleaning out the MRE wrappers from the cockpit.
So essentially, after a minute, actually, of constant use, it will start to suck up debris and start to potentially fail on you. Luckily, it's not something that has to be permanently on, so you can flick it on and off as you run into stuff. So, like, if you're fighting a bunch of hunchbacks, you don't need it on. They ain't got PPCs. But as soon as you turn around that corner, and all of a sudden you see that fancy, shiny, new, awesome 11H up on the hill, you flick this bad boy on and you charge at him and laugh as his PPCs do half damage. But in the nitty-gritty game rules, it operates for a total of 6 turns without any errors. And then on turns 7 and up, you must roll 2d6, and if the roll is less than 2 plus the numbers of turn plus 6, the system will fail. So, for example, if it is turn 9, you would have to roll you'd have to roll more than 2 plus 3, so 5. You have to roll more than a 5. And if you rolled like a 4 or lower, the system borks, it's broken. Nothing else happens. However, a active blue shield can explode if hit. So watch out for that. It only does a 5-point hit, but that's still 5 points of damage.
Mm-hmm.
So only have it active if you know you're going to have to use it. And that's that with your PPCs. Your plasma, your particle plasma projector cannon, plasma cannon projectors. Thor's hammer.
Mjolnir,
in lightning form. Don't ask why the Lyrians never developed a Mjolnir line of
PPCs.
PPCs, yeah.
I mean, a little too on the nose, I guess.
They do have Thor's hammer line of heavy Gauss rifles, don't they?
They have
think
a
so.
Mjolnir capital
Mech.
ship.
That's probably it.
No.
Right, yeah, right. It's a capital ship.
Didn't that thing get
Warship.
stolen?
They had like 2 of them.
They
have the Mjolnir and Yggdrasil, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yggdrasil?
That sounds
Yeah.
about right.
So, yeah.
That is that. That is our data die for the day, folks. PPCs.
Fantastic.
Crazy.
PPCs, gotta love them.
Crazy.
The only thing I don't like about the PPCs is that there isn't a classic BattleTech like rule for like the discharge that you read in the fiction and stuff, because when a pilot you are reading about gets hit with a PPC, they're like, electronic discharge, my sensors are all funky, bleh, and that doesn't really come across.
Games too.
True.
The games have that.
True, especially the video games proper where you're like piloting as opposed to like HBS BattleTech and
The mods have it in HBS. But yeah, no, I know where you're going with it. I'm just kind of pointing it out that there's a few things that don't follow along with that. Like in the actual tabletop it doesn't do that, but in like most of the video games other than HBS, but you get that through mods. But like you play MechWarrior Online or MechWarrior 5 and you definitely get that. Get that.
Oh,
like,
yeah, no,
wash.
Definitely. But I did specifically state classic, so
No, I know. I'm just here. I'm just throwing in my 2 cents.
Absolutely fair. But what not to love about the PPC other than being nitty gritty pedantic stuff? Because it is a benchmark. It is a cornerstone of the BattleTech universe. So now you know more about it. Huzzah! Our sources for today are Sarna, BattleTech BattleMech Manual, Master Unit List, TRO and Record Sheets Succession War, Sourcebook McCarran's Armored Cavalry, TRO 3050 Upgrades, Record Sheet 3050 Upgrades Inner Sphere, Total Chaos, Experimental Tech Merrick, Experimental Tech Republic of the Sphere Volume 2, Clan Recognition Guide Volume 4, Historical Turning Points Tortuga, Historical 3039, and Spotlight on Hellion Keshik.
And then also the Tech Manual, Interstellar Ops. Let me say the full name. Interstellar Operations. And yeah, tech manual. You guys said tech manual already.
You just said it. You said it twice, actually.
Twice the tech manual, double the fall.
Exactly. And Sourcebook Crimson Hawk, or Spotlight on Crimson Hawks.
Crimson Hawk.
Crimson Hawk Guru.
Isn't that like what is it? One Piece's like move, Crimson Hawk?
I don't know.
I don't think I've ever seen an episode of One Piece.
Me
and
either.
like that
I just know it from like
I'm
cultural
not throwing
osmosis.
Shade. Yeah, like I'm not throwing shade or anything. It's just like that was not my generation.
Yeah.
You know?
I just know he's a rubber man who wants to become king of the pirates.
I mean, it's super successful, so it's got to have something going for it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
This podcast is made possible by our supporters on Patreon, link in the description. Our social media on Twitter is @OriginOfMechs. We have a community Discord, the Armory of Ouroboros, a link in the description. You can email us at ontheoriginofbattlemechs@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please leave a review on your platform of consumption, tell your friends, and share on your community platform of choice. Special thanks to my friend Treble for the intro and outro. Our Ace Pilot Patreons are John Keith III and Metal Ed. Our Field Marshal patrons are Field Marshal Stahlkater and Field Admiral Chiraneau. Class dismissed. Everybody have a great day.
Stay safe out there.
Have a good one in New Avalon in the new year.
Module complete. System standby. Would you like to load the next module?
During this time, he was paraded around as a sign of the bond between the Scorpions and the new Hanseatic League. Let me retake that part.
The new peasants.